our distinguished panelists for this. Firstly, I'd like to invite our moderator, and I was talking to him, and he was very excited to be here on the stage, Mr. David Bell. You know, the excitement that he has presiding over this session, I'm sure it's going to be very, very fruitful. The next speaker, the first speaker, in fact, for this panel is going to be Mr. Hussein-Regional. So he's the regional manager for MENA at Farm to Plate, whose expertise in growth strategy and partnerships has transformed public and private sectors across the MENA region. Mr. Hussein is also a part of UAE's National Farm Sustainability Initiative, driving impactful agricultural solutions in collaboration with the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment. Put your hands together for Mr. Hussein-Regional. Welcome, sir. Next speaker on the panel is going to be Mr. Lucas Proto. He's the Global Product Manager for One Smart Spray. Yeah, you can clap for him already if you want to. That's right, a joint venture between Bosch and BASF. Lucas is pioneering technology in crop management, leveraging experience across Latin America, Europe, and North America to bring advanced AgTech practices to the forefront. Put your hands together for Lucas. The next speaker on the list is Mr. Sergio Barrero, International Commercial Director at Agroclimatica, Ingemann Data, where he leads innovative agroclimatic risk assessment solutions backed by AI to empower sustainable investments for smallholder farmers globally. Put your hands together for Mr. Sergio Barrero. Next on the panel, I'd like to invite Mr. Simbarashe Chiro. I hope I got the name correct. Yeah, finally I got some name correct. Mr. Simbarashe 𝐒𝐞𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐴𝐺RO, Agribusiness Project Analyst and co-founder of NASHE AGRO, a seasoned agronomist and certified banking professional. Mr. Simbarashe brings expertise in bridging agriculture and finance, promoting sustainable growth in agribusiness. One look at his suit and you can tell that he's a banker. Brilliant. And finally, I'd like to invite Mr. Jordan Herring, founder and CEO of Hidden Valley Genetics, who has a unique career in cannabis genetics. His work focuses on developing new cannabis strains, which he will never provide to us, of course, and empowering other countries, others in the industry, other companies in the industry also. So put your hands together for Mr. Jordan Herring. He's doing fantastic work with cannabis. How's that for an introduction? Brilliant. Okay, so it's over to you, David. Take it over, and I am looking forward to a very absorbing session with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Faizan. It's great to have you, and your enthusiasm and excitement just keeps us all awake, especially after a big lunch, and keeps the blood flowing.
I haven't paid him for any of this, but thank you so much for the appreciation.
You know, I'm pretty impressed with the presentation so far, and embarrassed that you all speak better English than myself, and English is my first language. So yeah, as farmers like myself, we have to collaborate throughout the supply chain and be able to sell, make a profit from our produce. There is not enough emphasis on that to date. I think farmers need to make profit. But being primary producers, we often get overlooked and undervalued. By connecting with AgTech companies and consultants, farmers and primary producers gain access to tools and resources to make informed decisions, optimize resource usage, and enhance overall productivity. I'm really excited to be here with 5 interesting and diverse leaders to discuss some of what they do within the sector, and it's been a joy meeting them and learning little bits about their regions and businesses. But first up, Hussein, food assurance is important for safety and credibility for the food we produce as farmers and buy as consumers, from the field to the home, or indeed the farm to the plate. Given the challenges faced by smallholder farmers in the Middle East and North Africa regions, how can tech innovations like data analytics, Internet of Things, and blockchain empower these farmers and help build resilience sustainable farming ecosystems?
Well, thank you, David, for this question. And well, just a side note, they requested us to answer everything in 2 minutes, which is impossible for me at least, so we need to be as much efficient as possible. Coming back to your question, David, I'd recall one answer starting by it, which is Kranzberg's first law of technology, which is technology is neither good nor bad, nor is it neutral. It's the use to which it's put that defines its nature. Saying so, we heard our colleague, Mr. Balatan, before discussing the problems and discussing the issues and challenges that farmers are having. So this highly resonates and relates to what Farm to Plate does in its core vision and mission by understanding those needs. This is where Farm to Plate, the solution, was developed and it was really put into action. We listened, we understood the problems, and we are still learning more on the problems that farmers are having. We are more into the understanding and into the efficiency of the agri-food supply chain by all means. Providing traceability actions, providing tracking solutions, providing the trade aspect, which I highly underscore and highlight because this is one of the most important factors one discussed in the agri-food sector. And the sustainability modules. This is where the solution stands for when it comes to the Farm to Plate. Thank you, Dave.
Great, thanks very much. And to continue, in what way can agriculture tech collaborations address food security, supply chain resilience challenges in the food and climate change? How does Farm to Plate contribute to building sustainable food systems through these partnerships?
Well, sustainability, the mostly used common and jargon of the past couple of years. I don't know how many are practicing it, but allow me to tell you something from our experience here in the MENA region, especially from the UAE. The UAE is at the forefront of whole innovation, sustainability, and the PPP models. And this is something that is highly embedded when it comes to the nature of the interesting business landscape happening here. So why I'm mentioning this point? This point is very important because the private sector has highly to relate and to work closely with the governments, especially within the business model that's already enacted here under the PPP, public-private partnerships. We have seen the country, we have seen the government agencies, we have seen ministries, even ministers on grounds who are always acting and working with the private sector and companies like Farm to Plate and others so that they can achieve a double goal. One, understanding how they can provide and advance within the big titles like food security, like the sustainability modules. Two, it's what they can do to the public, to the private sector that's able to leverage our offerings to this agri-food supply chain or sector in whole. Partnerships are and will always be in the core of the business that we do. Whether you are a farmer, whether you're a manufacturer, even if you're a governmental agency, this communication, coordination, collaboration, they have to be always seamless in a way that they ensure the actual targets are met. And this is what we stand for. And this is what we aim to stand for. So this bridging of the whole process is what's needed. I concluded by we are pleased and privileged to be part of the Ministry of Climate Change National Farm Sustainability Initiative. We also are a member of the esteemed Federation of Chambers of Commerce, also ICC International Chambers of Commerce, where we are able to have the Farm to Plate literally at the intersection of government, industry, and the academia. This trilogy is the true belief where we stand for. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And I'm pretty excited as a farmer who has used some of the systems that complement One Smart Spray. It's exciting to hear the next steps. I mean, green on brown, green on green spraying. But before we get into that, Lucas, what role does a robust innovation ecosystem play in advancing agricultural technology? And how can joint ventures like One Smart Spray with Bosch and BASF leverage this ecosystem to bring forward sustainable solutions?
Thank you for the question, David. I will use some of my prestigious times here to say I'm very glad that we have a farmer as a mediator, because a lot of times I can tell from my experience we are discussing innovation in agriculture and forget to ask farmers. So we develop a lot of complex stuff without considering the people that are really on the field. So I'm glad that you are here. That's a very good sign. And so, Bosch, BASF, you probably know both companies individually, maybe Bosch from the automotive or some tools that we have at home, or BASF from the crop protection, chemical or seeds industry, but probably don't know about the collaboration. From both joined forces to develop precision agriculture technology, and we developed One Smart Sprayer. One Smart Sprayer is a camera-based system that is able to differentiate weeds from the crop, green on green and green on brown, as you mentioned, so pre and post-emergence. And in 120 milliseconds, we take pictures, we process the pictures, and on the go, on a sprayer, crossing a field in 20 kilometers per hour, we identify these weeds and put herbicide only where it's truly needed, and everything is directly documented on the BASF digital farm management system called Sergio Field Manager. But back to the original topic from the question, the ecosystem. So we all know that there are plenty of examples in the industry. We have a very good product, but the ecosystem is not ready to have the proper adoption rate from this technology. We have, for example, I think the most common one is the PAC system from Michelin, tires in cars. If you don't know this example, I strongly recommend you to research about it. And you see the same thing in agriculture. Using our system as example, our cameras work perfect, the software works perfect, but if the pump from the sprayer is not working as it should, we will not work. If, for example, the nozzle tips are not delivering the right droplet sizes, we are not killing weed, and you as a farmer know, then we are not blaming the nozzle tip, but we are blaming the solution as a whole. So here is where we need to consider the whole chain, so the whole ecosystem from all the parts and how innovation influences the other innovative technologies in the farm. So here we truly need to see the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, big picture stuff, big picture stuff. In what ways can strategic partnerships in the agri-tech sector drive innovation, efficiency more effectively than exclusive in-house development, particularly in complex, evolving fields like precision farming?
So I think now we spent approximately 2 days discussing agriculture, and we can see how complex it's getting. So we're talking about AI, big data, sensors, fermentation, gene editing, so it's getting even more complex to release new products. For example, in the crop protection industry, nowadays take much more time and money to release a new product than 10 years before. And here is where we are seeing the need of collaborations, as my colleague mentioned, public-private partnership as well. So here, industry needs to look for synergies and collaborations to drive innovation. Bosch, BASF is an example of that. Bosch is present in basically every car in the world. BASF is one of the largest chemical producers in the world. But both of them alone would not be able to develop a camera-based spot spraying system. So here we are combining synergies. And we are not delivering that for the final customer. We are selling that to the sprayer manufacturer because we are not able to build a sprayer. So here we really need to look for our competitive advantage and focus there and explore the synergies between companies. The more complex get agriculture, the higher the potential for collaboration and the higher the need for collaboration between industries and government as well.
Thank you. Yeah. Sergio, apologies first because I never got to catch up with you before we sat down, so I'm sorry for that. But you're an international company, you're regional director out in this region, but started in Denmark?
It's based in Denmark.
Based in Denmark. And what are the biggest challenges to overcome by agri-tech companies like Agroclimatica in your journey to serve a global audience?
Perfect. So first, thank you, and we'll catch up right after the session. So very briefly, let you know what we do so I can answer the question. We produce a bioclimatic score, which basically gives you the probability of a certain crop to be successful over a certain period of time in a specific location. And this also works for raising livestock. So how do we get there? We get there from inputs from climate, soil data, historic data from the farmer itself, and then other information related to the seed, the productivity, and the crop. Now, the challenge we face is that farming has been occurring in small and medium-sized farms for decades and throughout generations, most likely. And here comes a technology company that it's perceived to try to tell them what to do. And we're not there to tell them what to do, we're trying to enhance their work. So the challenge as we go into a new area, a new market, is to identify the right partner that allows us to blend both components. So up to now, it's been financial institutions. Financial institutions that either have a geographical focus or a thematic focus. So maybe financial institutions that focus on agriculture. Those kind of entities have helped us approach what used to be or what is their client and bring in the technology. And then from there, we build the partnership. Our platforms will suggest and recommend certain adjustments, and then we'll capture data from what those adjustments do to enhance our pros. So again, the biggest challenge is find the right partner in each either market or area.
A good challenge, a good challenge. The bioclimatic risk score for small and medium-sized farmers, a standalone solution, or does it provide greater value with integrated data sources?
So we do both. There's specific clients for which on a standalone basis, the solution is very effective. So think of aggregators. An aggregator wants to make sure they're buying from the right producers and that they can anticipate any challenges that those producers will have. So maybe that an aggregator will buy the service directly. They don't need to blend it. But if you're a financial institution, there's two sides to that equation, right? If I'm going to provide a loan, I want to know if this person has the willingness to pay. And there's these credit bureaus and risk databases that will tell you if this person is, good paying their loans. But that's not enough if they don't have a source to pay from it. So what we give them is the probability of that crop to turn into resources from selling it or the livestock being sold. So in a bank, we're much more capable as a blended product. What kind of blending will depend. And then there's others where we actually operate behind the curtains. So there's other companies we work with which we're not even being blended, we are being used as a source of information for another process or algorithm. That we haven't developed as much because again, we need to feed our own systems to enhance the predictivity capacity of the model to then be more effective to blend into other solutions.
Thank you. Now with collaboration, we always need money. It's important to have a banker. So Chiro has joined us here, and he comes from an environment with working with 21% interest rates for his banana and coffee farmers, which to me is quite frightening to work with. But how are tech industries improving agriculture in Angola?
Okay, thank you, David. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm from Zimbabwe. Today I'm going to talk a bit about Angola because in the past 10 years I've been working in Angola in the farming industry. And the last 5 years I've been working in the banking sector under the Agribusiness department. In the last year I started my own project in horticulture farming. Talking about technology and agriculture, most of the startups, companies in Angola, they are linking farmers. The farmers are being linked to markets out they are using apps and digital applications to connect the farmers and the market and the aggregators and the transporters. Before, the farmers, they didn't have the opportunity or the chance, or the opportunities. After producing, they couldn't sell their produce. But now using these applications and digital platforms, it's easy for them to connect with the buyers and the transporters. Also, on these applications, the prices are there. They can negotiate the prices. They can negotiate also the transport. Talking also about technology in Angola, we have got low technology, medium technology, and high technology. Yesterday we've been talking about technology. We talked about technology yesterday. We talked about technology today. But in Angola, we are still using low technology and medium technology. Why I'm saying low technology and medium technology? Most of the agriculture which is happening in Angola is still subsistence farming. 90% of agriculture in Angola is through subsistence farming, and the productivity is very low. Now, using medium technology, farmers are trained how to use, how to correct their soils, how to use tractors. For example, the soil pH in Angola is very low. They are using agricultural lime to correct the soil pH to move from 5.5 to around 6.5. The productivity for maize is still very low, but after applying agricultural lime, the productivity for maize, for example, is coming from 0.6 or 1 ton per hectare to around 2 tons per hectare. Some big commercial farmers, they are now harvesting around 7 to 8 tons per hectare after correcting their soil pH. Also, we are now using hybrid seeds, but there's still resistance. Some farmers to use some hybrid seeds, they're still using open pollinated varieties. But the farmers which are accepting to use hybrid seeds, which is medium to high technology seeds, their productivity also is moving from 2 tons, 3 tons to around 10 tons per hectare. Also, some of the farmers, they are now using irrigation equipment. Before, the farmers were not using irrigation equipment. About 10% of the agricultural land which is being cultivated for maize and soybeans, they are now using irrigation equipment. Some farmers, they're now harvesting around 10 to 12 tons per hectare. Like this one.
That's pretty good improvements.
You spoke about tax, bank charges.
Yes, interest rates.
21%.
Yes.
Okay. Also, the government of Angola also is helping the farmers to get loans, to buy equipment, to buy seeds. If you go to a bank to apply for a loan, normally the bank loan, the charges which will be around 21%. But the programs that the government has introduced, you can get a loan at around 7.5%, which is helping the farmers to improve their productivity after buying some equipment, after buying some fertilizers and agricultural lime to improve the soil pH.
It all helps. It all helps, especially getting that additional discount. As a startup in the sector, how's NASHE AGRO taking advantage of technology to improve production and meet customer demands?
Okay, like what I said, in Angola, our agriculture, I can simply say we are still using medium technology. We cannot talk about high technology. It's still low to medium technology. NASHE AGRO for NASHE AGRO, we are using medium technology. When I say medium technology, I have noticed an opportunity that during the rain season, horticulture products, it's scarce. They're very scarce to find during the rain season. The rain season starts from October to around end of April. During this rain season, there are no tomatoes, there are no onions, there are no bell peppers. The prices can go, for example, a kg of tomatoes during winter season, you can buy it $1. But during the rain season, it can go up to $10 a kg. So I identified, as the co-founder for NASHE AGRO, I identified this gap. Now I'm producing my tomatoes and onions during the rain season. I have researched for some tomato seeds, for onion seeds, which I can plant during the rain season and can give me high productivity. I import from Brazil. I plant in October. I'm going to harvest my first harvest in December. In December, there won't be tomatoes. I'll plant again some tomatoes in November. I'll harvest in January and February. There won't be tomatoes in the market. And I'll be supplying to the supermarkets.
Thank you. That's pretty insightful stuff. Thank you very much. Last but by no means least, at the end of the line there, we have Jordan, and founder and CEO of Hidden Valley Genetics. And from a poor Scottish farmer's perspective, it's a world away of my understanding and knowledge skill. But it's been fascinating speaking to you and learning a little bit about your production methods. So how has the history of cannabis prohibition impacted the development of the industry, and what advancements in technology are you now seeing as major investors and companies like yourself drive innovation in these markets worldwide?
Thank you, David. You know, I'm sure many of you here are a bit uneasy about the legalization of cannabis, and I can understand that. There are some serious benefits that have to be paid attention to when thinking about this plant. Anything from the Model T, the first car, the majority of it was made out of hemp. It's 10 times stronger than steel. If you plant hemp as a cover crop, it restores the nitrogen and brings your soil back to its original state. Not to mention the fact that we're seeing it shrink cancer tumors. I was in USC and seen tumors shrunk, watched data from the doctors. I'm just a breeder, I'm not a doctor, but being able to see people go into remission as a result of things like CBG, some of the minor cannabinoids, amazing things. But why did we get to this point where prohibition started? And that's a man named William Randolph Hearst, who owned the timber farms in America. And when hemp come over, he noticed that the newspapers were going to be able to be printed for much cheaper. So what did he do? He started propaganda. And that's what has led us to where we are today, where people go, well, no, that's just this drug, and they're scared of it. But now countries are legalizing, and they're legalizing at a rapid pace. The Philippines 2 months ago went medical, maybe 3 months, but 2 years ago you'd get beheaded if you had cannabis. So we're seeing a massive change. We're seeing tons of cannabis exported daily. 80% of the market share is currently held by Canada, but the writing is on the wall for Canada. We're in Thailand right now, and we're making cannabis at a fraction of the rate. So my first export will be going out to Australia come January. So new technology that has jumped in, and you have to think, big companies, big money, they don't want to put their money in and invest in tech in an area that's a gray area, or an area where people still believe it's drugs. But now we're starting to see that research come out, especially Israel was the front runner. Canada was actually number 2 before the United States. And so we're seeing things come out like GrowLink, which is AI crop steering. And I'm able to use that. I can check what my runoff is, what's going on, what's the pH inside of my substrate, and it gives me data and options that I would have never thought about, and it can actually crop steer on its own, and I just monitor it, and it sort of blows me away, but I wind up with better cannabis with this AI. So that from switching from HPS to LED, right, and we're seeing almost double the yield that we had seen before. And root pouch, right? It's just a pot that we use. In fact, it's the largest fabric pot supplier in America, but they made a cannabis line which is made out of recycled water bottles, and so we're able to actually help with sustainability there by using recycled plastic water bottles. And then we've got Atmos Air, which is a negative ion creator and is able to attach to mold spores in the air and turn them into dust. So the technology advances have been absolutely incredible in the past 20 years since we've seen legalization jump up to speed.
Yeah, it's I can see that, but it's far too interesting, and I'm gonna be awkward. Yeah, you've kind of branched into it already, but you know, you've been doing some great R&D and to create these mold-free environments for your crops in Thailand, where humidity plays a huge part in the cultivation process and crops. How does the Atmos Air Mold Buster contribute to producing clean, safe cannabis that meets European and US microbial standards while supporting optimal plant health?
Sure. Real quickly, I've been working doing R&D with Atmos Air. They're the people that do the air purification for places like the Staples Center, the Empire State Building. And so they seeked me out and chose me to do R&D on their new cannabis product, which was basically creating negative ions in the air. And what we're doing is we're not only using that in indoor cultivation, but we're also using it in the greenhouse situation. I'm able to actually pump negative ions up through the canopy, which can attach to any mold spores that might be in the area and kill them on contact. And being in Thailand, the botrytis levels in that country as a result of high humidity are absolutely astronomical. I came from America, never had to deal with indoor cultivation having botrytis, but coming into Thailand, my first crop had botrytis, and I was about to lose my mind. I got my HEPA filter in there, I should be fine, right? No. So by adding the negative ion technology through Atmosera, I was actually able to create a mold-free crop that can pass the microbial counts and make it into Australia. Actually, this morning I got my microbial count from the recent harvest, and it was incredibly low. So if anybody wants to talk to me about that, because it can be used in multiple applications, let me know, I'll give you the contacts. But just the technology advancements in cannabis have been pretty incredible in the past 15 to 20 years.
No, that's great. Thank you very much. And I'm sure you can all appreciate that we want to spend longer with everyone here on the panel, because it's just, we're just tip of the iceberg for a lot of it. But the stares I'm getting and the evil looks and the death threats, I think we're going to have to wind it up. So again, please thank the panel. You can take final words if you want from each and everyone. 5 more words from each one. Oh, final words. Well, crack on. Final words, folks.
Well, that's another 30 minutes. Well, thank you, David, for the great moderation. Again, as our colleague mentioned, having a farmer on the side is always what's mostly needed. So thank you, AgriNext team. You were really amazing. You've been following up since day one, and without you, it wouldn't have been a success. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
I will also follow your direction. I will thank you, everyone, to listen after lunch. I know it's complex, and also to the organizers. I mentioned outside during the interview, I attend this year conferences in Brazil, Argentina, US, all around Europe, and I think this one is the one with most interdisciplinarity. So I see here people from cannabis to credit lines to master data and climatical data to public partnerships and collaboration. So it's great to see, and it's truly open-minded and eye-opening to see the potentials and the synergies as we can explore here. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, collaboration is the key word, especially when we're referring to bringing technologies to small and medium-sized farmers. You need to collaborate not only with the other institutions that serve the farmers, but you have to collaborate with other people capturing data. Data is very capable, but it has the risk of being skewed if you're only capturing a specific block of it. So collaborate, share information with others. It's not easy. There's a lot of people being selfish about doing it. But if you collaborate with other institutions, you will have better outcomes and better suggestions from the data to the farmers.
Okay. My few words is that I invite you guys to come and invest in Angola, because with low to medium technology, the weather, the climate in Angola is very good. You can invest in Angola, you can make profit. I was telling one of my friends that I saw yesterday from Mexico, he's doing avocados. He told me that he harvests the first fruits in 4 years, but in Angola you can harvest your avocados. In less than 3 years you can have the first fruits. So I invite you guys to come and invest in Angola. Thank you.
Yeah, big thank you first of all to AgriNext. You guys have put on an amazing event with a lot of professionals. It's been an incredible time so far, so big thank you for that. Thank you for hunting me down, David, and getting to chat with me and get to know me a little bit better. But you know, I just encourage everybody, as I know, that cannabis is so taboo, and I encourage you all to do your research and find out what's happening. And there's massive global export opportunities. There's so many opportunities when it comes to the cannabis field, anything from the industrial side all the way through the cannabinoids that are helping save people's lives. So, you know, I'll just leave you guys with the fact that it does all start with genetics, and that's my big field. But thank you for having me today.